WrestleMania 39 was Infinity War. This feels like the end game. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Anthony Linetti Show. And today is a very special episode because I'm being joined by a man who has done tons and tons of interview content and honestly, one of the best in the biz doing interview content. Rewind, recap, relive. Jonah is here. Jonah, how are we doing, my man? Thank you for being here.
I'm doing good, Anthony. Thank you for those kind words. Thank you for getting the show's name correct. That is not an easy feat whatsoever. It is a hard name, so everyone out there, if you're trying to remember it, if you just are listening to what Anthony said at all, it is Rewind, Recap, Relive, R3 for short. That helps a lot of people.
There you go.
And yeah, a lot of interviews just got done with the one and only Justin Credible, like I was telling you right before joining this. And yeah, I'm so excited to get into predictions. And you yourself are starting out. I don't exactly know when you broke onto the interview scene yourself, but I know that you've had Snitsky and most recently Mark Henry, which is massive. That's a huge Hall of Fame worthy guest right there. I love that for you.
Thank you,
I mean, it's just such a cool little thing that we're all a part of, this awesome community that just seems to keep growing and growing. I've been doing it since 2020 and love to keep going. And we've got some cool names under my belt for sure as guests. And thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, of course. I mean, as far as the interviews go, if you look back in my old wall of stuff, I had Joe Dombrowski, Myron Reed, and Snitsky, then Mark Henry. So I've done like 4 or 5 so far. I might be leaving some people. Oh, Tony Cini. I'm leaving out Tony Cini. How could I forget about Tony Cini?
How could you forget about Tony Cini? That was one of my first guests, actually, way back when I started in 2020. I had Tony Cini on with Raven. I was trying to, Raven. That was 2020, and we actually have the same birthday, Tony Cini and I, but we've been able to get a good friendship going over these years. And I interviewed him again when Virtual Basement first dropped their announcement that they were coming out with that video game that he's motion capturing himself. So a really cool career for him.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That game is still going to be coming out. It does look really good still, and Tony Cini's great too as well. Tony Cini's a good dude.
Such a good guy, yeah. And also, I'll just say, very cheap plug. Last time I'll do it. Rewind, Recap, Relive is one rising star, one veteran, because I know, as I said, I had Tony Cini on with Raven. Maybe that wouldn't make sense to some of the listeners, but what I do is I take a rising star, put them with a vet or a legend, and do a little round circle, and it's pretty cool. And you should go check it out if you want, but definitely go into the vault and check out the rest of Anthony's stuff too, because those are some great guests you just named.
Yeah, and I guess we could put both, like, these videos could both be on my channel and your channel. We'll figure that out in post or whatever, and I'll make sure to have everything with you with that. But as far as today goes, I know Jonah doesn't do too much of talking about current modern day wrestling, but we're gonna do that here today with our WrestleMania 40 predictions. Now, as of this recording, today is March 29th. So some matches may be announced on the show a week of. We're not totally sure what that. I know there's a tag team ladder match that not all the participants are announced for yet because SmackDown still having they're doing like a mini tournament. I don't know why, but they're doing a mini tournament. So we're not going to have everybody or every match on the show, depending on when this releases. I think it'll be on Tuesday, but don't quote me on that. I hope that 40 does live up to the hype. We'll start with this match because this one I feel like a lot of people were not excited about. 2 great performers in it. Didn't really have too much of a story other than them kind of, facing Roman at the Rumble, and then AJ Styles cost LA Knight the Elimination Chamber, and then LA Knight showed up at AJ Styles' home, which made it more personal. And there's a lot of people, I feel like, on social media that are calling this a SmackDown match. And to me, I love LA Knight. AJ Styles is probably the Shawn Michaels of this generation, if you really want to be technical. And this kind of match is like almost an era of TNA. AJ being the TNA of 2002 to like 2014, and LA Knight when he was Eli Drake. He having been an Impact from 2016, I think, to like 2018, 2019-ish. So really this match is kind of like, it's basically like 2 eras of TNA colliding.
Totally is. Yeah. That's
What
a
do you
really cool way to look at it, I gotta say, by the way. I haven't looked at it like that yet, but what were you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say, like, what are your what is your take on this match in particular? Because, I get what people are saying. It's kind of like a SmackDown match. There's not a lot of stakes, it's not a title on the line. But to me, it's two very good performers, and Adrian and LA Knight both deserve to be on WrestleMania.
Mhm.
So, it kind of gets to that point. What else are you gonna do with those guys, you know?
Absolutely. The thing that stands out in my mind for this match, number one between these two, is creativity.
Yeah.
I feel like these two are the type to go out on their own, like know that this match is happening. And again, me talking as a fan, not sure exactly who's telling him to do what, but like for example, that LA Knight showing up at AJ Styles' house. I feel like those two are the type to say, okay, this is our match. Let's do everything we can outside of the ring, outside of the time they give us to absolutely blow this up, build it, make the anticipation worth it. Um, and yeah, and we saw that like the home invasion thing was so cool. Brought me back to when Triple H invaded Randy Orton's house, one of my
Right.
favorite
Yeah.
segments of all time. I feel like LA Knight's the type to like kick his door down though. I would have loved a little bit more physicality, but other
Mhm.
than that, I mean, it did get me excited for the match. It made it stand out, like we were saying before, 16 something matches on the show, not all of them. And I mean, especially you've got The Rock probably showing up both nights. Like there's a lot of big elements. So to
Mhm.
stand out on the show is probably tough. And I think they're doing it with that creativity. Um, like I said, I think it's really cool the way you put it. Different eras of TNA going up against each other. I feel like they even each other out well, where LA Knight might not be the quintessential, like, exciting wrestler to some people. AJ Styles is phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. Like you said, this generation Shawn Michaels. And then you look at LA Knight, he's probably a lot of people compare to The Rock, Stone Cold, whatever you want to say, but he's certainly got the personality that makes you want to watch him on the mic whenever he touches that mic, or his
Mhm.
charisma. So I feel like, yeah, they even each other out well in that way. Are we going right into the prediction of who we want to win?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's going to be LA Knight in this
Okay.
one. I think LA Knight makes the most sense. I think this is probably going to be his first WrestleMania singles match, too. So I think that LA Knight is going to get the W, and then is probably going to go on his way to face a champion at some point. We'll get to that a little bit later in our predictions, but I'm going to take LA Knight. Who do you think is going to take the W here?
LA Knight or AJ. See, I want AJ to get a win that like really matters because I feel like it's been a while. I mean, he
Yeah.
was in the world title match at Rumble, but I do think it's been a little bit. But I think I'm gonna side with you. I thought about it. I'm siding with you with LA Knight because it is his first big singles WrestleMania match, and he did have such fire like not too long ago, right? He was just on fire. I think everyone thought he was probably going up against Logan Paul, but it seemed like plans shifted. So yeah, I'm gonna say LA Knight for this one because get that fire back under him and see what happens after WrestleMania because we might not have, The Rock stick around that long or everything that's happening right now. And you
Mhm.
need someone like that, right? Someone exciting like LA Knight. So I'm gonna stick with him.
Yeah, I definitely see that too. And moving into another match, which sees some WrestleMania debuts, we got the tag team championships defended in a ladder match. Now, we don't have everyone announced for this match yet, but we have Miz and R Truth, DIY, obviously the Judgment Day defending the titles, and I believe the New Day are in there as well.
Oh,
So there's two other
excellent.
SmackDown teams that have yet to have been announced yet. Now, DIY, this is their first WrestleMania. If I had it my way, DIY would probably win the titles because I love Gargano and Champa. I was a big fan of that NXT Black and Gold era, and those guys obviously killed it then. I think a lot of people are going to go with Miz and R Truth because of the popularity that R Truth has right now. Really, has been shining throughout 2024. Ever since he came back, doing this Judgment Day thing,
Incredible.
it's been hilarious to see. I'll let you go first. Who's kind of your take in this one out of the options we know?
Out of the options we know is a great thing to say because I was about to talk about the surprises. Out of the options
Yeah.
we know, I feel like I want to say Gargano and Champa for a few reasons. Firstly, because like you said, their NXT run, we know that at least the perception is they're Triple H guys. I think that's true. I think I've heard both of them say like Triple H is so much behind them, and we know the power Triple H has over the show. And I saw Champa, and of course, this is just like, I mean, he made me want him to win so bad. I don't know if you saw the post he put on Instagram. Did you see that?
I think
Of
so. Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of like he was just so happy that they're finally getting a WrestleMania moment. And I
Mhm.
agree, their NXT run was so good. I want to go with Gargano and Champa to take the win, even though R-Truth and Miz have, or at least R-Truth has been amazing. Miz just stepped in and they reinvigorated Awesome Truth. But I'm gonna stick with, I'm gonna stick with Gargano and Champa for the win.
See, I'll be the difference maker here because I do want Gargano and Ciampa to win. However, what I think is going to play out in the end is probably going to be Miz and Truth getting the W.
Mhm.
Just because I think something's going to happen along the lines where we see, maybe Damian Priest is on the ladder and he's about to pull down the belts, and then something happened with R-Truth where he pushes him off and then sneaks up there and gets it. Like there's gonna be
Yeah,
probably something that happens that could,
says he
really
wins it for
make
the
Damien.
Judgment Day.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. Yeah. But I mean, it could be something that instigates Damian Priest to cash in his money in the bank later on in the night. So
Oh,
that's another thing too that we have to kind of consider. So I'm gonna go with Truth and Miz Awesome Truth in this one. I think that Truth and Miz take it home. I do want DIY to succeed though on the main roster.
I
Really
do as
do.
well. And I feel like there's a great opportunity. Quickly, question for you: do you think we get a surprise that's maybe out of the company right now that they bring in for this match? Because there are like, I think there's two spots still available.
Yeah, and I think that they're doing the tournament, and the tournament's for a chance for somebody to get in as a team.
Hmm.
So that would leave one spot left. A lot of people are saying the Hardys, and I don't think that the Hardys are coming back to WWE this soon.
Hmm.
Especially, you're putting them in a ladder match, and I love when they came back at 2017 when, they entered the ladder match and they won the titles. But
Yes,
that was 7 years ago now.
it
So the
was.
wear and tear on their bodies and stuff. I don't know if I really want to see like Jeff and Matt in ladder matches anymore. It's kind of the same with Edge. Like I would never want to see Edge in a ladder match again. So, to me, I kind of feel like there could be that crazy surprise, but the only one I see being that surprise would be the Hardy Boys, you know?
Yeah. Well, something you don't know about me, maybe you do, I don't know. Massive Jeff Hardy fan.
Okay.
Is my favorite wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
And nostalgia is a powerful drug. I was there at WrestleMania 33 when they did return, and like he
Okay.
had been my favorite. And watching him come out, like I literally lost my voice. Remember, I've never popped so hard at an event before. My friend who was with me was also a big Hardy fan. So yeah, it was an awesome moment. But I do agree with you. It has been 7 years. I haven't watched a lot of their run in AEW. I've seen like the bigger matches, but I know that it's kind of been like in and out. I think Jeff is injured last I checked. I don't know.
You got a
I know that there
concussion.
was
Yeah.
a concussion, yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree. Like the Hardys is one that I've heard thrown around. I've heard the Dudleys because I think Bubba Ray tweeted something. I've heard Motor City Machine Guns. I don't know. It feels like it's not a moment right now where there are a lot of like there isn't that one team that you're like, oh, of course they're definitely bringing them in. Like on the indies right now that are on fire. But yeah, do I
Motor City
want
Machine
to?
Guns would be crazy, actually.
It
And
would
how
be
you said
crazy
that.
there. Yeah, because I think their contract is up like a day or two before WrestleMania. So you never know. But going off what you said, would I want to see Jeff in a ladder match? No, for his sake, but as a greedy wrestling fan, yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. It gives nostalgia, definitely. But, for
7 years ago is crazy, Anthony, by the way, that you just
yeah.
said. Ah,
Think about it this way, Daniel Bryan winning the title was 10 years ago.
that was 10. Yo, WrestleMania
Yeah.
was 10 years ago. Oh my God.
Well,
And it feels like yesterday.
yeah, yeah, that moment. There's those moments definitely like that happen at Mania that are really special. And one of those moments I think is going to be special. We were talking just about brother versus brother. We're getting a brother versus brother matchup with both
Yes.
the Usos against each other. A lot of, again, I don't know why, but a lot of people are doubting both of the Usos to do well in a singles match. And to me, they do throw a lot of super kicks. I will say that.
Yeah.
But, you know, they have had time to kind of hone their craft as singles wrestlers, both of which are very entertaining. And I think this match could possibly steal the show. What is your
Oh
kind of
wow.
thoughts on that?
Well, that's a bold prediction, considering everything we've got in it, but you never know. Of course, I love, by the way, the segue was great. Um, brother versus brother. I love that we've seen it, I guess, every 10 years. Is that what's happening now? Has it been every 10 years, or is it just the fact that it
Well,
was?
let's pause there because everybody's saying like it's every 10 years. And I get, you know, it's kayfabe or whatever with Taker
Yeah,
and Kane. But that was brother versus brother.
that
What?
was, yeah.
So it's not every 10
Nobody's.
years.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, you're right. It does pop up more frequently. The Usos, the people who are doubting that they can put on a great singles match, I don't know what they're talking about because Jey Uso has put on some of the best matches in recent memory. I feel his tribal rules match
Yeah.
with Roman Reigns was great. Then again, I mean, all of that is like storytelling, like long term. Like, so there's other elements in it. I get when he's like wrestling the bloodline, but then you look at him with what he just did with Gunther on Raw not long ago. I thought that was a great match.
Yeah.
So I feel like Jay and just the ascension that Jay is on too as like one of the top baby faces in the company. I would say that Jay is going to win that match, stealing the show. I feel like I don't want to say that, but you're brave enough to, so I'm going to leave that with you. They could steal the show. You honestly, you're onto something there, but I'm gonna go with Jay. And I mean, what Jimmy's doing right now is awesome too. Like, no doubt about it. I just think that it's easier for Jay to stand out because he's obviously by himself right now, versus Jimmy is still like embroiled in that whole bloodline feud. And
And
yeah,
I could see two outcomes, especially that could happen. One of which being Jay beats Jimmy and they reunite together, or Jimmy beats Jay and that gets Jay to join back the bloodline. Do I
mm,
think that's going to happen? I don't think so. I think Jay's going to win because, and I guess I should save some of that prediction, but for the when we get to the end. But for me, at least, I think that when it comes to Jay and Jimmy, they are still involved in the bloodline angle. And
yeah,
to me, it really feels like we're getting to this point where it's like Avengers Infinity War and Endgame.
yes,
I think we're in the Endgame. And I think that they should be out there fighting against each other. And then maybe at some point they will get back together. But I think, the two are doing well as single stars. They should probably stay single stars for a while. I'm going to agree with you and go with Jay as well.
yeah. And everything you just said is so true. And not to get too far ahead, but the Avengers Endgame Infinity War reference, like it's so on point because of things that might play into the main event that I won't get into yet because we're gonna get
Uh,
there. But like I think there is a huge clash coming, and I don't think that we see Usos reunite for that clash. So I'll say that.
yeah.
I don't think so. I think that they've carved out their own sides, at least Jay has, as he is on that one. But then again, you never know. Who's somebody who switched sides on the Avengers? Who's a double crosser? I can't think of one off the top of my head. Are you a big Marvels fan?
There's not a lot of people that
I guess Thor's brother, but then again, he was good.
he died, I think, early on.
He did die, but I guess
He
in the
did
movies or
cross.
the universe,
Yeah.
I'm talking about, yeah, he like always betrays Thor or whatever. But either way, it's I don't think the Usos get back together. I think they're on their own sides right now.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Um, from moving to brother versus brother to championship matches, we got Gunther and Sami Zayn on the show. Now,
Mhm.
the thing about Gunther and Sami Zayn is that there are so many fans online that wanted Chad Gable to be in this spot. It's
Yeah.
almost like now because of the whole Cody thing, everybody wants to try to root for the guy that they like and think that everything else is wrong what WWE is doing. But
Mhm.
this match is going to be great. This could be another match that steals the show, these two, because Zayn and Gunther are both great in their own respective, and putting them together is just going to make a hell of a match. But Gunther is not losing the championship at WrestleMania.
Ooh.
So before anyone gets to that point where, oh, well, Chad Gable should do it to finish his story at WrestleMania, I feel like we keep talking about, we don't want to get to the later predictions, but if one person is going to finish their story, I don't really think there needs to be two people that finish their stories at WrestleMania. And WWE needs, some stuff coming out of WrestleMania that has continuity to it, that continues on after. And the guy that beat Gunther is probably going to be Chad Gable, but you can do that in France. You can do that in Toronto for Money in the Bank. You could do it at Bash in Berlin. If anything, Gunther should lose the championship in a main event match, on the show. So to me, Sami Zayn is not winning the Intercontinental Championship. It's just a good place to put Zayn because Sami Zayn doesn't have another spot on the card to really get to.
Yeah. Really well said. I agree with you. Not two people need to finish their story. I originally might have fallen into the camp of like, wow, that's weird that they threw Zayn in there kind of last minute when this Gable stuff has been building for the better part of a year now.
Mhm.
Of course, their matches on Raw, and then they took kind of a break, and then Gable came back at him. And I feel like there was some stuff with Alpha Academy and Imperium too, perhaps. Like there was some stuff, but then it seemed like Gable and Otis kind of got pushed in a different direction.
That's what
Uh,
I'm saying.
yeah.
Before I've talked about this before, but Gable, after losing to Gunther, the only match he won after that was against Ivar in
Yes.
February. And their matches were back like in the fall, like September, October range. He
Right.
lost every other match. I think WWE were banking on Gunther and Lesnar, and then that
Yes.
fell through. So they wanted to pick up some storylines, and picking up Gable was all right, but Gable needs to build more momentum, to
Yeah.
get to that point. And the way you do that, have him be by Sami Zayn, and he said it to him already on television. You're not going to beat Gunther. You don't have it in you to beat Gunther, but I will because I want to beat Gunther. So, not to cut you off, but
No, not at all. No, that's you're so right. And yeah, I feel like Sami Zayn is gonna lose. I agree with you. Gunther is gonna beat him. And I feel like because Sammy's so good. Like I love Sami Zayn, but this just isn't. I mean, he main evented and won last year championship at WrestleMania. I feel like this year isn't his year at WrestleMania, but I think that one of those events you mentioned, maybe a SummerSlam, maybe we get like the Summer of Gable, something going
yeah,
on, because
yeah.
we always need more stories to tell of that underdog. And Gunther is going to take that spot when Reigns loses his belt. How crazy would it be if Gunther and Reigns both dropped their incredibly impressive reigns on the same event, basically, right? Then what do you have then? You have a completely new story to tell, but I think you still need someone chasing something. So I do think Gunther puts on a hell of a show, and Zayn, tries really, really like it's going to be a great match, but Gunther's going to take it home. And I think we see Gable step in afterwards. And I almost feel like Sammy was thrown in there kind of like not someone to be taken lightly, but definitely not someone to finish the Gunther story.
Yeah, yeah, and they're gonna have a banger match too. At the end of the day,
Absolutely.
Zayn and Gunther are gonna have a banger match. You mentioned Sami Zayn and how last year he main event WrestleMania. Kevin Owens main evented two WrestleManias, 38, 39, and now he's going up against Orton and Logan Paul, the U.S. champion for the United States title in this one. I'll let you go first. Who do you think is going to be walking out the United States champion?
Well, first of all, that's such an awesome match. I am very excited for this triple threat match. I like that it's no disqualification. I
Mhm.
have a feeling like this is going to be like the ladder match is going to be insane, but I want to believe this one gets crazy as well with Kevin Owens and Logan Paul because that's the only thing that I was a little bit not disappointed with, but I was a little shocked that they didn't do more at their Royal Rumble match.
Yeah.
It was such a cool finish. That finish was so creative, and I think it did its job. It shocked everyone there. But you think of Logan Paul, everything he's done, crazy spots, like some of the craziest athleticism that we've seen in recent time. And then you think of Kevin Owens, Daredevil will do whatever it takes to win. So I
Mhm.
hope we see some of that in this match. That's number one. Um, Winning this match. I feel like we can see. I don't think it's gonna be Randy Orton, process of elimination. I feel like Randy has something bigger, possibly afterwards. I also, and this really doesn't have much to do with it, but like Randy seemed to be injured at Elimination Chamber or something, right? There was something weird with his back or something. I don't know. Maybe he's perfectly fine now, but I feel like he doesn't win the title. I think it's also yeah. I don't remember the last time Orton won a mid card title. Probably was a long, long time ago. But
2018, maybe. I
it
think.
was oh the U.S. title.
Yeah, yeah. He was U.S. champion before. Yeah.
He was yeah.
So
So it's 28. So it's been a while. All that being said, I think I'm gonna go Kevin Owens just because it's been so long at this point. Logan Paul's been outsmarting him, and I think we
sure.
see Logan Paul get that comeuppance at WrestleMania from Kevin Owens. Another thing I was thinking of with Owens before I'm done is he managed to in WrestleMania 38 be in there with the returning Stone Cold in the main event, which is so cool. And now he's at a WrestleMania where The Rock is coming back
Yeah.
and he's in the main event. Like that must be just so cool as a wrestler to be back there watching that. Definitely someone who grew up
Yeah.
watching two main event WrestleMania after WrestleMania. Now he's been on multiple events. And just a little foreshadowing, I think we see more of Stone Cold this year, but I won't. I'll leave it at that.
Well, I will backtrack a little bit because I said earlier that I think LA Knight beats AJ and moves on to something else. I think what you have here is Logan Paul retaining the US title, and then that pushes us into a feud with him and LA Knight over the summer.
Okay.
Um, to me, right now, Orton is probably going to be saved for something a little bit bigger. So putting the US title on him may kind of hinder him in a way, if that makes sense, just because
I see it. Yeah.
giving him the US title keeps him away a little bit from the main event scene. I think he deserves to be in the main event scene, of
Mm-hmm.
course. KO, I'm not against him winning the US championship, but to me, I think Logan Paul is your guy to win here because I think the end goal for SmackDown, at least, or depending where they end up on Raw or not, LA Knight should get that singles championship win. And I think he would have gotten that had, plans not changed for WrestleMania. Obviously, because Punk got hurt, it changed up a lot of things because now Drew is in the main event with
Yeah.
Seth and all these different things. Sami Zayn's taking on Gunther, obviously. So I honestly, I think that Logan Paul retains. He outsmarts them because it is a triple threat match.
Right.
Um, and then we move into LA Knight after he beats AJ, keeping that momentum going against Logan Paul for the US title at maybe Backlash, or maybe they have a series of matches too.
And you bring up something interesting too with Logan Paul retaining SummerSlam. And I know that comes to my mind always first because it's next big four, but that's in Cleveland. And
Okay.
that's Logan Paul's hometown. Like as soon as that dropped, Logan Paul tweeted and was like, I'm coming home. So maybe you're right. Maybe Logan Paul does keep it at least until then. And then I mean, I don't know, maybe he main events or something. I feel like they're doing big right now with the whole representing where you're from portion of WWE, like Bash in Berlin. You know that's going to be centered heavily probably around Gunther.
Yeah.
Um, and who knows, yeah, Cleveland with Logan Paul. But yeah, you got a good point. I think I'm still sticking with Kevin Owens though. I'm gonna stick with that pick.
Well, now that you mentioned representing, what better way did WWE represent Rhea Ripley with Elimination Chamber in Australia? They did a great job with that, and Rhea was the main event against Nia Jax. Now
Yeah,
she's up against Becky Lynch. This is my bold prediction for WrestleMania. The three champions that retain their titles are Logan Paul, Gunther, and Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley in this one, I don't see anyone on the Raw roster right now that can beat Rhea Ripley right now. And that might go for SmackDown too. In the future, maybe Jade Cargill. I could definitely see Bianca Belair beating Rhea Ripley for the title. But nonetheless, getting to this match, I think Becky and Rhea are going to have a good match. And this really is just going to, keep Rhea's reign strong because
yeah,
she's had some matches where she's defended the title and they're like 5-minute matches and all
right.
that. And the match against Nia I thought was good. She fought Zoe Starks, which I thought was, a good match as well. But, this could be Rhea's real first threat with the title as far as a main eventer goes. But to me, I think Becky's in there to help get Rhea more momentum to her name into the championship run. So what do you kind of make of that?
Well, I think you're very smart, Anthony, because yeah, Rhea Ripley is definitely retaining.
Yeah.
Although this is, I think, her strongest competitor, like you said, by miles. Nothing against the people who she's faced, but I don't think the build has always been there, especially with
Right.
Rhea,
Yeah.
especially with Rhea being so involved with the Judgment Day. I think that sometimes her single stuff almost feels like she'll come out to start Raw most nights with the Judgment Day. They'll say some really impactful stuff about some really, heavy hitters, whether it be Judgment Day taking shots to the Bloodline or Cody Rhodes or whatever it may be. And then she'll come out later and it kind of feels a little bit less since we've already seen her in like a bigger part of the show. And I think that's
Yeah.
what's been happening. Like we saw her, like you were saying, Zoe Stark. I think that was a pay-per-view match. And like I said, nothing against Zoe Stark. She's awesome, but I don't even remember what the build was necessarily for that. Um, the build that I remember most right now was her one, it was the build for Nia. And that was great. And it was probably her most hard-hitting match. I wouldn't say of her um entire title run. I definitely don't think of her entire one because we saw her match with Charlotte last
Mhm.
WrestleMania. That was great. Um, but going off of that, yeah, I think that Rhea Ripley takes this, and I think that the build with Becky is strong enough to make people think that Becky will win, but I don't think she's going to. Even though Becky Lynch is awesome, she's great. I
Yeah.
think Rhea Ripley has the potential to be like one of the biggest stars, if not the biggest one of at least this generation. She's like amazing.
You just met Becky at the her book signing, right?
I did. I was able. I'm staring at the book over there, not read yet, but it will get read. It was a really fun time. I waited 3.5 hours in the cold. Uh, took some nice time off work for that. Met some awesome wrestling fans. That's where I met. That's where I'm getting some of these opinions from,
Uh-huh.
of these predictions. But yeah, she was awesome. I should have asked her something about the match with Rhea. The first thing that came to my mind was like, "What's your favorite story in the book?" And she said something like anything involving Rollins. And I remember somebody immediately was just like, "That's a very I didn't read that answer." Not true though. I think Becky had a great time writing that book. Some of the pictures in there are awesome. I should show you because like they're really cool. Like from her very humble beginnings in Ireland to now, she's had a
Yeah.
crazy journey. She really has. It's crazy to look at the journey at the end, like we always do, to see where some of these people actually start.
Yeah, definitely. And I will have to book up. We'll have to pick up her book at some point if I can speak. But yeah, that was awesome that she was doing. I think she's doing a couple more book sightings in Philly. I think too.
Yeah,
So
and the ones in Philly are totally just show up, get the book like completely free, which is cool. This one was like $20. You just bought the book and then you waited and then you met her, which isn't honestly bad if you see some of these prices for like fan access or whatever they call it, like the WWE World
yeah,
and all that's yeah. So, but yeah, you should. The Philly ones are free. Anyone out there should definitely go check it out. Are you going to any additional events when you go into WrestleMania, or is it just Mania?
I'm not sure yet. I don't have a lot planned out. I'm kind of waiting to the week of to do it, but I will be at
Yeah.
WWE World at some point. I want to enter that 2K tournament. I definitely want to see if they're gonna let fans go up against like Xavier Woods and stuff and
Yeah, I
double
want to
down
enter the
people.
tournament
So
too. I've been how long have you been playing the 2K the WWE games as a whole?
since Here Comes the Pain.
Wow, see
No,
me
SmackDown,
too.
shut your mouth. Yeah,
I love that though. So you're a big gamer.
yeah. I still have my PS2. Yeah,
That's so cool, Anthony. I knew we'd be friends. No, I've been playing these games like religiously my whole life. SVR, 2K. So 2K20 was horrible. And you know that I feel like we've still yet to get back to the magic that was 2K19, I think was the best WWE game in a while.
yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
2K19 was the game. Yeah,
Yeah, it really
I
was.
missed that game. So I mean, I like 24 right now, but
24 is good. It
Mhm.
is. It's a
but
really good game. The throwing of the weapons. Like I feel like they finally added some things in there that we could have had a long time ago, like casket matches, special guest referee we did have, and then they took it
yeah,
away.
An ambulance too.
Ambulance match is awesome. Yeah, and there's a lot of unique little hidden things they keep putting in. It's a good game now, but we should enter that tournament together. We should tag team that shit.
That'd be good to document. We should.
Yeah, honestly, it'd be good content.
Yeah, it would be. It would be good to do. But yeah, I am excited for all the surrounding events that weekend. And one match that I am excited to see has been Io and Bailey. Now,
Right.
to me, I think WWE has struggled, somewhat with the Triple H administration, has struggled a little bit with having some women's wrestlers come back into the company and having them kind of return, but some of the more casual fans of the product might not know a Tegan Knox or Dakota
Right.
Kai off the bat. Now, I think a lot of us love Bailey, and a lot of people have had years and years upon Bailey. I don't know how many people have had so much time in front of Io. Puerto Rico loved Io Sky for sure. To me, this match doesn't feel as important. And the reason why I say that is because of obviously the other things going on in WWE with the Bloodline storyline. A lot of that's been on SmackDown, a
Yeah.
lot of it. And it's kind of taken away a little bit from the damage control side of things. But, getting back to this match, at least, I think these two are going to shine at WrestleMania. And I think it is going to be Bailey getting the championship against Io. I think Io's had a good run, but I think Bailey is gonna, be a baby face for a change, like first time in like 5 years, and win the Women's World Championship at Mania. What do you kind of make of that? Do you think Io retains here?
No, I think Bailey takes it for sure at WrestleMania. And I always like to look at the whole like Royal Rumble winner, are they going to win the match type of thing? And last year we all thought Cody was going to win and he didn't. Trying to remember, so Rhea Ripley won the Rumble last year and then she won the title, right? So
Yep.
she
Yeah.
did. Okay. So, but still, I always like to see that Bailey won the Royal Rumble. I think she absolutely should go on to take that title from Io. The story is all there with damage control. It's perfect. I think it could have I feel like Bailey, you're right in the sense that there might not be enough, time or attention to the Bailey Io damage control stuff as there is to the whole bloodline angle, because I feel like we could have seen Bailey really be more of a thorn in the side of damage control heading into WrestleMania, like
Yeah.
cause them they're tag champs. Am I right?
Yeah, the
Damage
Kabuki
control.
Warriors. Yeah.
Yeah, so she could have maybe caused them to lose those, like really, really taking it out from the inside, knowing them so well because she created it, right? So she could destroy it. I feel like we could have seen something like that. Although the fact that that they're all still very tight and Bailey, it's really like 1-on-5 or something right now, 1-on-4, could lead to Bailey calling in some backup, and who knows who that could be. I still do think we're going to see Bailey win, though, definitely, and like you said, be a face. I think we get. I don't think we get Hugger Bailey, but I think we can get that theme song. Maybe,
I think
maybe
it'd be good for the one night.
for
The
the
one
one
night.
night. I
Yeah.
love Bailey's theme right now. I hate Damage Control's theme. It's awful, but I like Bailey's theme.
As it go, we got the power, control the stage, control the
It's
rate.
just
I
like
would always make fun of that song, but
bad. Yes. But yeah, I feel like Bailey wins this. I think we get a face Bailey. We see that elbow drop maybe. That'd be cool.
yeah,
Uh
yeah.
yeah.
I think that would be really cool to see. Bailey have her moment at Mania. Now, another big championship match we have on this show is Seth and Drew McIntyre. Some people are going to say that, it has kind of been overshadowed because Seth is in the bloodline stuff. And we
Yeah.
do have to consider now the fact that Punk is going to be the special guest commentator for this match. Could mean that Punk cost someone the match, could mean that Rollins accidentally super kicks Punk, McIntyre Claymore kicks him. There could be some things that happen in this match. I think everyone online wants Drew McIntyre to be the world champion. And I completely agree with that. Seth has been a great first world champion for that title. I think Drew beats Seth, and then Drew and Punk will happen at SummerSlam or down the road when Punk is healthy. I think, putting the championship on Drew McIntyre, letting him have his moment, in front of fans, especially with this heel character. He is as over as he's ever been, in my opinion.
He's so
I,
good.
I think he is so much better than how he was 4 years ago against Brock. I
Oh,
really think that this work is is the best of his career, and I think a lot of people. I don't like to get too much into rumors, but his contract's coming up and all that. Maybe one of the reasons he re-signs with WWE is getting the world championship, and I think he's earned it with the work he's done. So, what do you kind of take? Are we going Seth with this one, or are you going Drew?
okay. And then there's the third option of Damian Priest. That's where
That
my
is
mind
true.
is
That
at.
is true.
That's where my mind with all this, because whoever I pick, I do think Damian Priest is cashing in that night. I don't know
Mhm.
when else he would cash in, and I don't think it's going to have anything to do with the bloodline stuff. So I feel like Damian Priest cashes in. I'll put that out right there. As for everything you just said, 100% agree. Drew McIntyre is doing his best work. I loved Drew McIntyre against Brock, and I was a huge Brock fan then too. But Drew's like persistence with everything and just like that Scottish warrior, like it did get me on his side, but at the same time, like immediately after, and albeit COVID, I think he was good. It
Mhm.
wasn't immediately after, but like as we started seeing the way the show was going, COVID, no fans, all that, and Drew kind of just still being that um what is it, that consummate, face warrior, whatever it
John
did.
Cena like,
John
yeah,
Cena, like I think it ran its course a little bit. And I think what he's doing right now is a heel, but not just a heel. He's a very like self-aware
right.
heel, makes all these references and pushes buttons and pushes limits almost too far in a lot of maybe fans today's minds. He's giving like a throwback type of feel to it. And I think we're seeing that a lot just to open it up to like the LA Knights or of course The Rock, but does he really count? Or CM Punk or Rollins? Like what
Mhm.
they're really saying in these promos are they're really pushing the envelope. But back to that match, I would love to see. Not only do I think Drew's going to win, I really want Drew to win that match because that title, if Damian Priest doesn't cash in, would be so good on Drew McIntyre. And then down the line, like you said, CM Punk comes into it. I don't know where Damian Priest fits into all of this stuff because I don't think they want him to fail like they have the past few Money in the Bank holders. And I know it's a tangent that we can go on forever, but I don't think Damian Priest like relinquishes or loses his shot at the Money in the Bank like we saw Austin Theory or several others. I feel like Damian Priest cashes in successfully. Could happen at that
Wow.
match. Yeah. So I think Drew wins and then Damian cashes in. That's my prediction.
It could very well happen. At this point, I'm kind of for getting rid of the Money in the Bank because
Altogether,
the money. I think you do it like maybe every 2 years. And the reason why I say that is because it just comes to a point where we have these matches, and you know, the Money in the Bank used to be such a great proving ground, and some of the time it just feels like, oh, you have to consider the Money in the Bank, and people more so expect the cash-ins to happen now, and
mm-hmm.
it kind of takes away a little bit from the moment. So to me, I personally, I think that we just get McIntyre win the championship. I don't know what they do with Damian Priest's Money in the Bank. He might fail his cash in, believe it or not. It could happen. Um, maybe he does cash in, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think they're gonna let Drew have his moment.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah, I think they give Drew his moment.
Great point is that he never had his moment, right? So you might
Yeah.
be onto something with them actually letting him celebrate in front of fans. And even though he hates us despicable marks that we are, he'll still feel good on the inside celebrating, maybe.
And you talk about moments. We're gonna have a huge moment with this whole bloodline and Cody and Seth thing. I talked about it earlier with the Avengers reference. WrestleMania 39 was Infinity War. This feels like the end game.
Mhm.
And to me personally, when you have Cody and Seth against the bloodline, we can start out. I think we should just go bang bang because they're both kind of similar matches. Um,
Fair, yes.
I'm gonna go with The Rock pinning Cody Rhodes for it to be Bloodline rules on night 2. Now, the way that obviously our predictions would go, and especially mine, with Drew being the world champion. I think, and this could be more of me just kind of, you know, trying to, I guess, link things from what we saw on Raw this past week, but we saw McIntyre talking to Heyman. I think that maybe the Bloodline and McIntyre cut some deal. So I think we're going to see, and we might even see new Bloodline members too on night one. But I think we're going to see, Rollins come to the aid of Cody and Bloodline rules, and he might get cut off by Drew McIntyre and Solo and Jimmy. Then we get Jay to come out. Then we get Sami Zayn to come out. Then this is where kind of my predictions go too, because like I said, I'm making the Endgame reference. I think John Cena comes out. I think
Yes.
he takes out Solo, and it gets to the point where everybody's gone, basically, other than Roman, Rock, and Cody, and the glass shatters. And we get a
Yes.
moment between Rock and Austin where they kind of take each other out, and then it's just down to Cody and Roman. And I think that's where Cody beats Roman. I think that's when it happens, and you get the story to be finished there. I think it makes the most sense too. Cody has really been the uncrowned champion. He hasn't always been booked the best, but fans have stayed behind him. If you look at WrestleMania 10, Bret Hart got his win. WrestleMania 20, Eddie and reacted, Benoit got their moment.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan got his moment. WrestleMania 40, in my opinion, it needs to end on a good note, and that good note would be Cody winning. If Roman does retain, I don't know what else they would really do with his run other than him and The Rock. And honestly, The Rock should not be facing the WWE champion when he's only come back into one match. Like that whole part-timers thing should probably just end where they just come in and get a championship match. So, let's do something fresh here. Cody wins the title. If Roman comes back, great. Have him bring back that shirt, wreck everyone, and leave. Have him be a heel. Have him wreck everyone. Have the whole thing with the whole thing with Rock coming in. I don't think anybody turns heel. That's another thing. Seth's gonna turn heel. The Rock's gonna turn on Roman. I don't think anybody turns on anyone. I think all that stuff happens amidst the summer because they're gonna need stuff to fill in the summer. I don't think anything happens on that. So I think Bloodline wins night one. Rock pins Cody. Night two, Cody pins Roman in Bloodline rules. So I'll let you. I kind of went off a tangent, but I'll let you go
Oh,
off and you go
you
ahead on
said
that one.
you said a lot of good things there, Anthony. You said
Uh,
a lot of good stuff. When you were saying the Infinity, War, all that stuff with Cena, everyone coming out, throwing Sami Zayn in there is interesting, but I think it works. All of that gave me chills. Like that would be ending it. That would be ending it on such a strong note for Roman, and one that I think makes so much sense too, because he's never really we've never gotten him alone, and that is something that so many fans have an issue with, and justifiably so. I mean, we all know what wrestling is, it's storytelling, but you look at this guy who touts being the biggest champion of all time, all
yeah,
these accolades. He has, truthfully, I don't think ever won a match solo, if I'm not mistaken. It's he
um,
has it's like one or two, and they're not that big. You look at his big matches, there seems to always be help. Even the Royal Rumble, I think that was the nail in the coffin for me that really cemented it, was that even in the Rumble, Solo interfered in that fatal four-way, and
yeah,
it almost felt predictable. You know what I mean? Like it was almost like there's the Solo spot. Like it was like it's just been
yeah.
ingrained. This Roman does not do this alone. So all of those people, all those legends and great talent coming out to Cody's aid, that's what it takes maybe to beat, the final boss and Roman Reigns. And so I love that. I agree with that happening. And I think that's where Cody does beat Roman. That's my prediction for night two. Night one, the tag match. I think Bloodline does win. I actually want them to win because who doesn't want the match to be no DQ? And like, who wants Cody and them to win is my question.
If
Night one.
Cody and Seth win, it's almost too predictable that Seth Rollins turns heel.
Yes. Yes, that's a great point. So I don't know who would, yeah, I feel like Cody and Seth winning night one is the boring option. I think
Yeah.
you want the heels on night one for sure. I'm trying to think of one of the things you. Oh, so Rock coming back. So I got to disagree with you though, where you say Rock shouldn't get a match after Cody wins. I think this whole story has showed us that the real like money match, and I'm sure you've heard this all over social media, is Rock and Cody at some point. Doesn't have to be for the title. I would love if Cody did look at him and say, "You're a part timer. You're not getting a shot at this. Fight me for it," or something like that, something different. But I would love to see Rock and Cody after everything Rock's been saying and doing them. I mean, he left him bleeding in the rain. Beautiful cinema. It looked like a movie.
And I could
Yeah,
almost see that, but to me at least, if and this is me imagining it, but if Rock pins Cody and Cody pins Roman the next night, what does that say about the head of the table stuff? I think that we might get a rematch between Cody and Roman at SummerSlam, and that would be the place where The Rock turns on Roman because I can't see The Rock being really around after WrestleMania that often. And I think
yeah,
that
I agree with that. Yeah.
I think that we are going to get Roman and The Rock in some form at WrestleMania 41. I think that's gonna happen, and I think instead of it being for the championship, the World Heavyweight Championship, I think at this point, what it would be for would be the head of the table, and the Bloodline storyline would obviously main event WrestleMania in its own right, and it frees up the WWE Championship a little bit, where the title can finally be on TV again. Because since Roman unified the titles, it's been off and on for 2 years where Roman's here, then for 4 weeks he's not here. So
Yes.
I think the title, it needs the fresh air more than it does now, because if The Rock especially isn't going to be on after WrestleMania 40 for a while, who's who's Roman going to face at Crown Jewel or Backlash? Will he be on those
All these
shows even?
places. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And interesting about that too. So you said, yeah, give the championship some screen time. Well deserved, right? I mean, it needs it. I feel after all that, like us as fans deserve to see the title, I should say. More often, Roman. There was some picture that I think is so funny that someone compiled all the Roman Reigns returns tonight, like graphics that had been used, and it was like over 20 or 30 or something crazy. So yes, I agree. We need Cody to win for that reason. I have always thought that The Rock, and this is going back to when the Bloodline started, because I am a sucker for nostalgia. I always thought that Rock was the head of the table. Roman calling himself the head of the table, that's great. You're the head of the table for like this generation, but you haven't beat everyone. Like even when he humbled Jimmy and Jay, when he got
right.
Solo in there, like there is still someone who we all know from your family who's way more notable than you are. So when Rock returned at first and whispered in Cody's ear and like took his spot and all that stuff, and everyone went apeshit. You referenced it earlier. Fans just being angry because they're not getting what they want or the way the story is going. I loved that actually, and it was a very unpopular opinion, but I loved that The Rock took that spot because I thought it belonged to The Rock. However, everything that's happened since is much smarter and more compelling, I think.
I
But
think
that being said, yeah, just to end it, 41 is definitely Roman and Rock. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be. I think if you keep putting it off, it loses its
yeah,
aura, and also Rock gets older. And I feel like 41 is the spot for that.
I think the perfect place for Rock and Roman would have been WrestleMania 39. On
Yeah,
WrestleMania 40, it obviously is a WrestleMania match. There's no doubt in my mind that that is a WrestleMania worthy match. However, you can't tell the story of Cody going through all this stuff and then winning the Rumble to finally have a shot to, fight Roman again, fight the guy that, kind of screwed him over, just to challenge Seth Rollins. And I think they realized that, it wasn't going to work, and that the fans, especially in Philadelphia, would turn on The Rock and Roman Reigns happening, because Roman Reigns knows about the crowd turning on him in Philadelphia. Same with The Rock.
yeah.
So
Was that where that Rumble was? Was that 2014
it was
Rumble?
2015 Rumble.
Or 2015?
And
Okay,
The Rock
wow.
came out at the end, and they were still booing Roman.
It was
You
still
know,
booing Roman, and rightfully so.
yeah.
I still remember that Rumble.
And at the end of the day, the heel run worked out way better than whatever Roman and Rock would have done, because the Rock as a face is cool, but the Rock as a face kind of comes off a little bit lame sometimes because it's kind of the same stick. This is different, and this is a good different. This is like, he calls himself the final boss. This is the final boss,
We
really,
get
with the
that.
Rock. Yeah.
Gamers, we understand, Rock. We know where you're coming from. You
Yeah.
are a boss. Your music says it. Your look says it. That music is so good. I
And
love about
that
bringing things back. That was good shit. But yeah.
that plays well into Roman and Rock as well. Roman's the tribal chief, but the Rock's calling himself the final boss. So eventually that's going to clash. And especially if the way things go down, like we said, Rock pinning Cody and then Cody pinning Roman would speak for itself a lot about who the true head of the table is going to be. So with that said, I mean, this WrestleMania has the potential to live up to, I think, WrestleMania 17, WrestleMania
Oh,
19, some of the
yes.
best manias that WWE has ever put on. And I think it's going to be better than last year's WrestleMania, WrestleMania 39.
Which is a great Mania, by the way.
Yeah.
I gotta say that was such a good WrestleMania. But yes,
The way that they've almost built this, like I said, Endgame, but it's like the two sides of WWE. It's the bloodline and the power versus the baby faces who want the WWE to be good. And I'm really psyched for everything, all the festivities that are going to be in Philly and the events, and obviously to be there at WrestleMania 40. I think this event is going to live up to the hype.
yeah, I'm right there with you. I think this WrestleMania 40, and that means so much. You look at WrestleMania 30, everything with Daniel Bryan, the whole story they told, and that was during a
Streak.
time, the streak, and that was during a time too when you look at WWE and I mean, I thought the Yes movement was great. I thought there were pockets of WWE moving through that kind of like 2010 to
Mm.
2000, you could say like 18, 19 time period. There were like huge booms in those pockets where wrestling was fantastic, but it was certainly struggling. Like, and you could ask any fan that, and I feel like they tell you, yeah, it was. There was no competition. It was the only thing, whatever reason it was. But you look at that when it came to WrestleMania 30, it blew it up. That's a legendary
Yeah.
WrestleMania still, no matter what. WrestleMania 20, great WrestleMania. You said 17, one of the best ever too, landed on a random number, but still incredible.
Yeah.
And you look at 40 coming up, I think it's going to be big. 40 years of WrestleMania. And on another note too, and maybe on a sadder one, like you look at WrestleMania 40, I don't know who's going to still be, not around, but who can still do what they're doing right now come WrestleMania 50. Like
Oh,
10 more
yeah.
years, let alone us 10 more years later. Oh my God. But like, look at the in ring talent 10 years from now that we're getting right now. Uh, they know that like this is the time to bring it. And again, that's just coming from a fan. Like these guys, they probably got tons. I'm sure Rey Mysterio can go until WrestleMania 80, but still,
Yeah.
you look at you still look at what's happening right now, and it's like magical. It's awesome to be a wrestling fan right now. It's
Randy
awesome to
Orton.
be one.
Randy
Oh,
Orton said
Randy,
he still got
ooh.
10 years.
Yeah,
So
Orton will be in the main event of WrestleMania 50. Oh my God, that's crazy.
that would be really wild to see like all that unfold.
Yeah.
But like we said, man, it's gonna be a great WrestleMania. Jonah, thank you so much for doing with this me. And we'll definitely have to do this again
Yes.
sometime as well. Definitely subscribe to Rewind, Recap, Relive, and to the Anthony Linetti Show right here on YouTube. Whatever social media you also see us on, Instagram, all that good stuff. We're on it. So make sure to check us out. And we'll be around WrestleMania 40. So if you see us around there, come say what's up. I'm sure we might even film some content at the link, maybe in the lot.
Yes.
I'm sure there's just, again, there's so much stuff going on, but there's even like a lot of tailgate events too. There's so much.
No, there's so much stuff to do. Like it's almost overwhelming to film content because they're like, what do I want to get? But I definitely think 2300 Arena. You could find me there. I'm going to be there some of
A
these days
lot.
for sure. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to take it in. I heard there's a good bar, and by good I mean cheap. So I definitely want to check that out. Um, and yeah, but Anthony, no, thank you so much. This was so cool to actually get time to talk. We've seen each other. We've been chatting for a while, but seen each other in passing on the tantalizing Tony show. Gotta plug the boy there. But yeah, seriously, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. I loved this.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do it again sometime whenever another show comes up or anything like that. And especially we'll probably see each other for WrestleMania 42. So
Oh, we will.
I'm excited to see how everything plays out in the end, especially with the Bloodline storyline and all the other matches going on at WrestleMania. From myself and Jonah, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you right here on the Anthony Lene Show and Rewind, Recap, Relive. Thanks, everyone.